Hello everyone! I've decided to upload a quick run of the new area in Witchfire called Velmorne. There's recently been some debate on Discord about the difficulty of the area and how it fits into the overall progression of the game. Initially, I played through it on my old save file and really had no issue running through it, completing all the content, clearing all the mobs, killing the familiars, so on. And then I saw that some people were struggling with the area on new characters, so I figured I'd give it a shot, and I purposefully did the bare minimum that was necessary on this, not entirely fresh save file. I think it's like a level 12 or 13. I do have like M1 on my Hunger and Psychopump and the one light spell, Fire Breath, so it's not a fresh file, but it's the closest I had, and also didn't have a lot of time to set things up, so I went in with this character and I just ran straight to where the chart is on Scarlet Coast, picked it up, and then I came over to Velmorne, and my plan here is to try to see how difficult it is to try to just snag the chart to Iron Gate. I remembered that the first guy drops the crowbar, so I decided I should actually face him so that I can get down to the sewers, because I'm assuming that's where the chart will be. I'm assuming it's either in the familiar room or the familiar drops it on death. I actually don't know. This is the second run of the area I had. The first one, as I said, was on a higher character, and this second one is on a pretty fresh character. So I get smacked by this guy here during my reload animation, and he starts running away, and we pick up the crowbar. We also get a second Mysterium Incantation, which is very useful because I have otherwise met all the requirements for upgrading my pistol. At this point, I'm just trying to see where there might be a sewer entrance on the map, and I thought maybe that little circle would be it. Later turns out it's not. I have to say, in terms of atmosphere and just visual design, this latest update brings just some truly gorgeous areas that really kind of remind me of the look they were promoting in the original, very old trailers, like years back before early access. And here, there's this new enemy who, I think he's called the Gravedigger. He's got sort of two main ranged attack. There's this poison artillery type of attack. He lobs these projectiles at fairly long range, and they drop pools of decay. And then the other attack is just this little army of, I don't know what they are, little skeletons. Those guys can be a pain in the ass. At this point, I'm not trying to face off with him. I don't think I have even the ammo to clear half the map, so I'm mostly avoiding that. I found that if you sort of break line of sight, or if you change elevation, like the way I dropped down here, that completely, disrupts that little army of his from chasing you. And although I didn't make much of a dent in the witch's defenses here on this map, I will say I had a lot of fun just because it really forces a very different play style than you know, if you were a higher level character or playing on another map. Generally speaking, you are kind of the predator and everyone else is the prey. You come to Velmorne with a low level character, that flips completely upside down. You definitely are being hunted, and it's on you to try to stay alive. And that's cool. That's something that I think a lot of the people in the community actually have been looking for and requesting, because that's kind of the early game experience to an extent. And as you acquire more power in the form of stats and items, that feeling actually slowly kind of disappears entirely. And it's a shame, because that's a huge part of what makes Witchfire very engaging, is the sense that there's that sense of vulnerability, that sense that of having to be extra cautious, the sense that you will not win any battle. You will have to run away from some, and in this case, most. So, yeah. There's a bit of a, I think, subjective factor that contributes to the enjoyment of the game, and I think that's basically your expectations. If you expect to dominate, and suddenly and that's you kind of take that for granted, and you start sort of expecting to just kick ass half asleep, and then you suddenly come to Velmorne with a low level character. You're gonna experience something very different from your expectations, and that might be the reason, I think, why some people are upset about it. If, however, you understand what's going on, and you flip your mindset, and you realize, okay, now you're out of position, you're out of control, you're being hunted, it's on you to stay alive. That can be super enjoyable too, and exciting even. It's I can't remember the last time I had this much fun in a Witchfire run. I never really felt pressed to reposition, to try to find safer angles. And even if I did, even if there were times when I did get overwhelmed in the past, it never felt as consequential, for some reason. But here, I just know I don't have a lot of resources to fall back on, right? I have limited ammo relative to the number and strength of the enemies. So it's really a lot closer to like a survival horror experience. And here, Mandrake does his job, allowing me to live and fumble for a little longer. Even just this little moment of finding that secret entrance to the sewers, and then dropping in the middle of a bunch of spider eggs, and they start hatching. That's just beautiful. That's just, I don't know, why people would have that experience and say, well, this is frustrating. I mean, I do know I can be frustrating. What I'm trying to say is, it's not objectively frustrating. It's either you are able to enjoy that kind of experience, or you're not in the moment, whether you're in the mood for it. But that's what Velmorne offers, and I think they made the right move in designing the area to be as challenging as it is, even though it comes right after Scarlet Coast. And the reason I say that is, again, because a lot of us have high-level characters, right? So we've had plenty of updates already, and I think it's unrealistic to expect, a majority of players to constantly re-roll new characters with each update just because there's like a couple of new weapons and spells. You have the freedom to do that, right? You have the freedom to roll a new character and then play everything fresh, and then have this insane level of challenge on this new map, which, by the way, is not only awesome because of this challenge, but it's also extremely beautiful visually, very pleasing, very atmospheric, and I think it offers some of the best exploration yet in the game, because you have this, two-tiered sort of structure. You've got the sewers underground, and then you've got the town above. There's plenty of little indoor spaces and side caves that you can get lost in, and there's no map to help you find your way underground, and that kind of contributes to that sense of tension and caution. But I digress. What I was trying to say is at this point in early access, I think it was the right move for them to give us a very challenging area, because most of us have a high level character somewhere. So if we just want to see the content and beat the area, we can boot that character in and play through everything, and you can still get a reasonable challenge even with like a level 100 plus character. You can still get a reasonable challenge on Velmorne if you wish to see everything and collect everything and so on. And if you want to have that survival horror experience where you're mostly trying to stay alive while completing certain key objectives that you've set for yourself. In this case, I was trying to pick up the charge to Irongate Castle, and I assumed it would be in here. Perhaps it is. And I was trying to poke my head in without triggering the boss, and I failed. So I decided, well, fuck it, might as well face off, see what kind of damage I can do, if I'll even have enough ammo. This boss fight has some pretty clear inspirations from Bloodborne, I'll say. The top part of this widow looks a little bit like the Orphan of Kos, and the way it jumps to the ceiling kind of reminds me of Ludwig, I guess, from the DLC of Bloodborne. And I also love the music that they used here. I think it's the music from one of the earlier trailers just before launch in early access. I kept I knew I would get hit. I played very complacently, calmly, you might say. But the point is, I think I'm trying to make is like, yes, this is a very challenging area. Yes, it is a huge struggle for lower level characters, and you are going to have a hard time killing the camps. But is that really a problem given where we're at in early access? No, I don't think so.